We got two teams on the opposite side of the spectrum going at it. We got New Mexico going on the road to take on San Jose State. Lobos 3-1, San Jose State 1-3. One really riding the momentum right now. The other just trying to find any way to get on the right side of the win column. It's an 8 p.m. Mountain Time game on FS1 on Friday. Oddly enough, San Jose State opens as 2.5 point favorites. The over under on this game is 57.5. I think you'd be crazy to count out the Lobos in any game right now. Coming off their biggest win against in-state rival New Mexico State, 18-point win there. Meanwhile, the Spartans are looking they're looking to finish a game for once. A 1-point loss to Stanford on the road. We've seen that at times they've been able to run the ball effectively. We saw last week that Walker Egan can pass the ball and be one of the better passers in the Mountain West. Jack Lane had a great game passing a week ago against New Mexico State. We also know that the Lobos can run the ball really well with that trio of Humphrey and McKinney and Bankston. Defensively, the Lobos have looked pretty good at times. They still have holes in their game, holes that I think the Spartans can capitalize on if they're playing the right type of football. I think the Lobos have a weakness in that secondary and certainly in their linebackers going across the middle. You can get 3, 5, 8 yards at a time across the middle. Certainly keep drives going, extending plays. I guess the question is, who do you trust more? I feel like you'd want to trust the Lobos. They're playing great football. They make a few mistakes here and there, but when it gets down to it, in the second half, they really tighten up their game and play arguably the best football to be played. San Jose State has been shown to be a team that can let up in the final 2 quarters, certainly in the fourth quarter. New Mexico, meanwhile, finds a way to win however they can. They utilize a lot of trick plays. Although Jack Lane had his best passing game this past weekend, they've been able to pass pretty effectively throughout the season. I think they have a great sort of balanced offense where they don't need to necessarily rely on the run game as much, or they don't need to rely on the passing game as much. Meanwhile, the Spartans, prior to last week, they relied on the run game heavily because they just could not get it done throwing the ball. And even though Walker Egan had a great outing passing the ball last week, and it wasn't enough to pull off the win. So although I think they'll have success against the Lobos, particularly in that secondary that's still sort of questionable, I don't know if it's going to be enough. I think the Lobos find ways to get stops at certain points, and I certainly don't think San Jose State's defense is going to be able to limit the Lobos the way they'd hope. Both teams are getting their first crack at conference play. The Lobos right now they're on a hot streak. They're 3 games away from being bowl eligible. I think that they've shown enough in non-conference play that they want to carry it over and show that they can compete for a Mountain West title at this point. I think the win streak continues for the Lobos on the road against a team that's, despite their record, still very much competitive, but still so many question marks. And I think you would rely on the team that's shown what they could do and been down at situations in times the past couple of weeks and able to separate themselves in the second half. San Jose State's shown that they can be a first half team, but not a second half team. I would much rather rely on the Lobos and Jason Eck and what they have going on over there. I think their defense is going to be key. They don't have to stop every drive, but certainly if they can get some turnovers and force some 3 and outs, it would definitely benefit the Lobos more. Meanwhile, San Jose State, I think it's going to be up to their defense. Can their defense limit a team like the Lobos that utilizes screens and runs up the middle and find those deep throws for some serious yardage? It's the Lobos going on the road to take on San Jose State. It's an 8 p.m. Mountain Time game on FS1 on Friday. Be sure to check this one out.